Hi everyone, Brandon from Brandon's Baseball Cards here. For tonight's video, I have my younger brother Dylan joining me, and I thought we would have a discussion about some of our experiences in the hobby and some of our opinions about some of the recent trends in the hobby. And so, Dylan, how long have you been collecting?
Ever since I was like 6 years old. Our grandpa Welsh gave me like cheap cards, and I started getting into it. And then as I got older, he started giving me cards worth more money and taught me more stuff and just how to look it up and what to look for and stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Our addiction to vintage baseball really started with our grandfather, both of us in that regard. So what are you currently collecting?
Pretty much everything pre-war. A lot of like T206s and like 30s Gaudi and stuff like that. Mostly I've been getting into like all the different variations of T206s and finding out about all the different backs and everything and what to look for and what I like.
Sure. And what would you say is your favorite product from the 1930s? Because you seem really into the 30s.
35 Gaudi.
35 Gaudi.
Yeah, try and build the whole set. Just I think all four of the pictures together is just really cool and really unique. And to have them all together would be super cool.
Okay. Yeah. The 35 Gaudi 4-in-1s, right? That's awesome. And you've recently gotten back into T206s as well. Like we all vintage guys, we love T206s. What is it about T206s that you love? Or are there specific T206s you're looking for?
Well, first one I actually got besides the one you gave me was a Tris Speaker, and I started getting into like listening more about that era and things like that, and then I don't know, I think it's just interesting. All the pictures are so pretty, and all the different players have cool stories that no one knows anything about any of them really.
Sure.
Like average fans don't.
Well, and there's that T206 book, the T206 that's the T206 Society put out. That it provides background about. Yeah, they were advertising it at the National, so that would be something to look into getting maybe, because it provides. I don't think it's discussing all of the cards in the set, but specific cards in the set. It provides background about the player and
yeah, I think all the variations and all the like would just be cool to find, even if I would probably end up selling it if it's worth like $4,000 for a comic. But I think it's cool just to be able to know and like find things like that.
Sure. Now, are you a portrait guy in the T206s? Do you like the action poses? Do you have a preference?
It's a little bit of both, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, like favorites that stick out are like the Ty Cobb red portrait,
of course. Sure.
But then like of average like commons, I guess probably more of a portrait person, honestly. Even though it doesn't, in my head I always thought I like landscapes and all better, but I like portraits a lot. And just like really captures the player's spirits and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah. The people that have been watching my channel have seen I'm on a T206 portrait kick lately. That's what all I've been buying. But do you find when you purchase cards in the hobby, one thing that I find with when I buy cards, I kind of go on kicks. You know, I'll go on a kick. For right now, I'm on the T206 portrait kick. But then there's other times where I'll go on an unopened pack kick, right? Or I'll go on a 1955 Redman kick, or some other vintage kick. Do you find yourself in cycles, or do you just kind of buy everything all the time?
Yeah, I think I've always done kicks like my whole entire life, but like I do have certain things that I'm always interested in, but like with actually buying and actually like getting into, I do like in cycles, and like 1 week I'll be interested in 1 month or a few months is like T206s and pick up like 4 or 5 and then move on to something else, and then maybe if it comes back around, complete sets and stuff, but usually it comes in cycles, and try my best to keep it balanced over time.
Sure.
Keep everything either way.
Oh, I find some of the channels that I subscribe to on YouTube have pointed out that when you have a lot of different projects going on at once, it keeps it fresh. Yeah. It keeps you from getting burned out on any one product, and I think that's really important.
And like right now, I feel like I could complete the T206 set, but 4 months from now, I'm going to be like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Well, I like.
Good luck trying to complete the T206.
Yeah. But like with the 35 Gaudis, I only have like 3 now. But
sure.
I mean, eventually, I feel like I actually will complete it because I like them, and I would never sell the ones I have. And I like them all. It's just I don't really get into them enough, like consistently, to buy them nonstop. Because me and you both are not set builders at all.
No. That's the one thing that I've never. And I was going to ask you that next. Have you ever actually honestly made an effort to build a set.
No, I had like basic like 61 top set, like starter set, pretty much all the stars, everything actually. I just need to get commons, but
Sure.
it's just not worth it to me. The only era I would do that would be the 30s or 50s to be able to see all the players together. I think it's cool to get like a glimpse of like well, all these players played at the same time, you know, getting that understanding, because you hear Mickey Mantle and then everyone else, but you don't hear about like see them all together.
Sure.
That's cool.
I'm going to make an honest effort at the 53 top set. I'm going to make an honest effort. I'm in the very early stages, and all the cards I have right now are commons.
But it doesn't have any card that's like astronomically priced. You
That's
can
true.
get a decent mantle for
That's
a
true.
grand or 1,500.
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
which is a lot, but it's not a lot compared to most sets with like the key rookies and stuff. Or
Yeah.
and then the Maze is the second most expensive, and that's not that bad.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. And I honestly think the Maze 53 tops is much prettier than the Maze 52 tops.
I don't like the Maze 52 tops. I just had one and sold it because I just usually I buy a card and then feel a connection to it, but I just didn't even like it. It had creases and all, but I just didn't really like it.
Yeah, I mean,
it looks like he's like hidden.
I can appreciate it as a collector and what it means to the hobby. You know, it's his first Topps card, obviously, and the importance of that. But if I'm going to collect an early Maze card, I would want the 51 Bowman, or I would want the 53 Topps.
I don't even know if it's probably a controversial thing, but I don't even love the 51 Bowman that much. I like it, but it's not like, I don't think I would ever go out of my way to buy it. And on it, I'd rather have I know everyone would because of value, but I'd rather have the 52 Topps mantle than a 51 Bowman by far. Like, I know some people actually like the 51 look more, but I don't know. I love the 52s.
Yeah, I mean, the 52 mantle, I think right now, you know,
it's a good investment.
Well, it's the most solid investment I think we have in the hobby that is potentially
86 fleer.
If assuming your budget is large enough, you know, it's actually within the realm of possibility, and there are enough of them that if you have the bankroll, you can invest in multiples. Right.
Yeah.
Again, neither one of us
Have
that bankroll. If I were to get one, it would probably be half of the card, the top half of the card, or something along
that. Or
I just don't have the
86 fleer pack,
or an 86 fleer pack. Yeah. Have you thought about what do you make of the vintage unopened pack business and the companies like Vintage Breaks and the opening of vintage product?
Well,
and I don't mean vintage like 1984 Topps. I mean vintage.
Well, I think that like it's obviously just for financial gain. Everyone being involved in it is usually just looking to make money or to get I understand wanting to get a good card. Like I've done set breaks with them, which I think is fine. I think it's gambling, but I think it's fine to be able to like, okay, a 1 in 80 chance of a mantle 52 is better than buying a box. But I think the opening of packs, I think they're definitely destroying like pieces of history, and I do think that like although I understand why they're doing it, and I like see it, it's cool. It's cool to watch them open it. It's cool to open stuff. Like, I would love to do that, but I think when you look at how rare stuff is, and like I don't know, I can never see myself doing it. And I don't think that at certain ages, probably like I would say like 76 back, 77 back, we should probably stop opening pretty soon at least.
Yes.
But anything from the 50s don't touch, because if there's less than 20 copies of something, I agree. And 20 registered copies, 5 have probably already been opened.
I agree. Yeah. Well, one of the things that upset me greatly, there was a run last year, Vintage Breaks. They opened 4 1954 Bowman football packs over a period of a few weeks, may have even been sooner than a few weeks. And I was so upset to see these artifacts opened, because I think they pulled an autogram. That's great. It's a nice Hall of Famer, but you're pulling a near mint to most of the time when you pull cards out of these vintage packs. It's probably near mint to mint 8. Maybe you get a mint 9, but for the most part, you're getting commons. Well, like with football at least, because I think there's a little bit more vintage football unopened than there is vintage baseball. I think
there's more football everything.
But the cost of losing this artifact, this unopened vintage pack that is so rare and so cool, for the sake of getting more PSA graded cards. I think we have enough PSA graded cards.
And that's one thing we were talking about. Like, if we had like a Piedmont pack, would we open it? And like,
if we had a pack that potentially had a T206 in it, would we open it?
I think
we've discussed that so many times.
It's an artifact. It is an artifact, and I think the only way that I would open it would be if it has potential to bring something like new into the hobby, like a new artifact. So like obviously another Plank or Wagner or anything like that. So like I think, you know, if you're going to like, if it would have to be like certified early run, be able to have a Plank or Wagner in it, and guaranteed to have a card in it, which anyone would open at that point. I think. But that's the only way I think I would open it, because it's just not. I don't know. I would feel so bad to open it.
Well, then you hear these stories that they open a
It'd be so fun though.
An old Sweet Caporal or Piedmont cigarette pack that has a card in it. They know it has a card in it. They open it and it's a card of a bird or something like that. You know, so you've
those are worth like $4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you've spent $1,200 to $1,500 on a vintage cigarette pack, and now you have some 100-plus-year-old cigarettes in a card of a bird. But I guess if you're the gambler's mentality, you know,
that's me.
No. Well, I mean, I think much less so now, because I think while you and I used to be into opening new product a lot more, I think you and I have both heavily.
A lot.
Well, so we've been to now. This year is our second national, right? Well, I only want to go a few more minutes because I don't want to I don't want to have an hour video and have no views, because it's most people don't watch an hour video, right? But we've been to two nationals now. We went to last year's in Cleveland, and we went to Chicago this year. Out of those two, which location was your favorite, and was there a particular experience that you had that will stick with you for a long time? Something that you really enjoyed. What did you enjoy the most?
The venue, I liked Cleveland the most. Like by far, it was like a fun atmosphere. I don't know why, it just really was. Like the venue was fun and a little bit easier to understand. Chicago's kind of crowded, or kind of strangely like formatted. But I think overall Cleveland was really special. Like I think that's the best environment. But favorite thing from that show, I don't even really remember. I was kind of just stuck on opening stuff.
Sure.
Like I opened like $400 worth of stuff in the last day.
Yeah, you did. It's true.
This year, my favorite thing was buying a 53 Mantle ungraded, and then getting it graded at SGC at the show, and then bought it for $900 and got it 2.5, and then sold it for $1,200 on eBay. So after fees, made like $100, but it's just something I wanted to do. When I saw it. That'll stick with me. And then I bought a Triss speaker.
How many Triss speakers did you end up buying at the show?
Yeah, I bought 2 Triss speakers.
Two. This guy bought 2 T206 Triss speakers at the show. One was raw, right?
Yeah, I bought one raw and then was trying to get it graded, but it was trimmed. I'm not good at identifying stuff like that. I didn't really think it was a possibility, but it was trimmed. It looks like a 2 or 3, so I kind of got tempted into getting it graded. But either way, it's beautiful. The colors are way better than the 1MK that I bought. That one's ugly. Well,
that's what's so interesting, is that there are one important kind of credo that I live by when I purchase graded stuff is buy the card, not the grade.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are some PSA good 2 cards, in my opinion, that are way more beautiful than some 3s or some 4s in the same card.
I think honestly
would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it kind of falls into the pattern of like so many 2s. I've seen so many 2 T206s that are beautiful, like literally look like 4 or 5s.
Sure.
I don't know. I think that they grade T206s a lot based on sharpness. Like when you see like the 7s, the only thing that really separates it is just sharpness, like edges and corners, which sounds silly, but centering, like almost all 2s are really centered and they look really good.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I've seen some 7s that are off center and it looks so sharp it looks ugly to me. Like I'd rather have 2s at that point. And like I don't know. I think so. I always buy like 2s usually. End up falling into that, but yeah. Honestly, I don't. They're so like ambiguously graded. It's strange more than any card. I mean, all cards are, but those are like hard to understand sometimes what they get, why the grades they get.
One of the live chats that I the live streams that I participated in a few days ago with Baseball Collector and Ray from Philly, they were discussing the fact that PSA only has 20-some graders, right? Because we were discussing how in the world this trimming scandal could come.
Card Collector on Instagram.
Yeah. we were discussing, why this trimming scandal happened in the first place. Because everyone criticizes PSA, everyone wants PSA, everyone wants their order back quickly, but then everyone gets critical when they make serious mess ups, like the recent situation with PWCC and Gary Moser and some of the other infamous trimmers.
I get them making mistakes, like. I understand them making mistakes. It does happen, and it even happens to Steve Hart and everybody. But like, it happens a lot less actually with PSA. I mean, I'm not an advocate for PSA. I think my favorite overall is SGC right now. But like, it does happen. But I think like when you let things like, obviously, I think what happened with Gary Moser or whatever, I think that's like has to be something internal. Like it has to be someone on the inside, because at that point it's like, how can you see a card that? First of all, you have to give, I mean, I don't know how their system works, but you have to give 52 tops manuals a little bit more time than a common. You have to advocate and be like, okay, there's going to be more fakes of this. But I think that like...
That's a fair point. Yeah, maybe the time you devote to each card as a grader depends on the rarity and the potential value to be recouped from a given grade.
How many fake mantles have they been sent? Probably
true.
Hundreds of thousands. But I just think that like... I do understand mistakes happening, not with authenticity.
It's inevitable. It's a human endeavor, Yeah. But and like I said in a previous video, I'm still going to buy PSA graded cards.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck to either way.
Yeah, you can't live your life in fear of what if all my cards are trimmed? I mean.
Yeah. Well, trimming I think is obvious, but I think like trimming honestly is less of a crime against like collecting, if you want to put it that way, than like recoloring and stuff like that. I think that's like altering history to me. I mean, like trimming. I think you're trying to cut the card to make it look better, make it look sharper.
Sure.
But I think when you like alter the colors and alter things, because like I love cards when they have like a little bit of color loss and it brings out the face and different things like that. So I don't know. I just feel like when you're like recoloring, it's like stuff like that feels like even worse to me. And people have trimmed cards forever. Like some trim cards people still buy.
Sure.
But like when a card's been recolored, that just seems kind of like trashy almost. Even I don't know. It just seems like cheap.
Sure. It's
a different thing to me.
Sure. No. I think that's an interesting point. I'd never considered that the normative differences in alterations.
Yeah.
Is trimming different than recoloration?
Yeah.
Because some people don't mind buying trim cards.
Yeah.
Right.
Most T206s are.
Or buy them raw. Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, so that's interesting. Yeah. That's definitely food for thought. Was there anything else that you'd like to?
And something I was going to say, but I forgot. Oh, I was going to say. I read an article on blowout, like a forum where blowout cards, and it said, because I was trying to buy Beckett cards and cross them over as a way of making money, or for having fun, It's fun to do. Sure. And I read of people like, since they do the Beckett raw card reviews, I was going to buy those because you don't have to break them out of the holder or anything. And people are crossing over like Ted Williams 57 tops 6s and getting a 4 from PSA. Like consistently 2 grades lower. I expected 1 grade lower, but like literally every card he sent in like 20 as an experiment, and they were all like 2 grades lower.
Wow.
And then there was one that matched up, but then someone sent in a raw card review something, and it got a 9. They sent it in because they thought it should be a 10. I might be getting this wrong. And it came back altered. They said, "Oh, we have crappy lighting at our shows, so sometimes we don't pick up on that."
Wow.
So that's next level bad to me.
This is Beckett.
Yeah,
interesting.
Beckett. I mean, their graded cards are dirt cheap as it is. I was looking into like a 8 Pete Rose rookie to cross over because it's in a Beckett holder is 2,500 and PSA is 5 or 6. So like or 4 or 5.
Sure.
So, but I don't know. I think they still have some respect. They're not like a fake company. There's a lot of fake companies.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
When I heard that was crazy because I was gonna I bought a Roberto Clemente raw graded rookie to get graded, but I was gonna buy a Harmon Killebrew 7.5 rookie to get graded, but it looked like it would actually get a 7, but I'm not. After that, I wasn't gonna take the chance to do it.
Sure. Well, thank you for sitting down with me. This has been hopefully a fun video to watch. It's certainly always great to sit down and talk with.
You have to put my Instagram in
Great to talk vintage baseball, and great to share memories with my brother. And I think that's what collecting's really about. It's about sharing memories, right, and about bonding over our love of cards, right. It's not necessarily the card itself; it's sharing our appreciation for this stuff. And it's a great hobby, and I love that he and I are along for the ride together with this hobby. And thank you all for watching and for checking out my channel. And please feel free to comment.
We're gonna make more videos tonight.
We might make another video tonight. We'll see. Please feel free to comment and keep collecting vintage baseball.